Okay, we see everybody joining. We're going to give it just a minute to give a chance for everyone to make it in before we formally start. Looks like we have a lot of people listening in live today, which is great. All right. The attendee number has slowed down on the uptick, so we'll go ahead and formally get started. So first of all, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, I guess, depending on where you're listening in from. We usually have people listening from all over the world. So we really appreciate you taking some time out and joining us today, whether you're listening live right now or if you're watching the recording later. So we're happy to be here to talk about the program. And we are using the Zoom webinar interface formatting today. So you'll notice the chat's been disabled, so please feel free to use the Q&A to post your questions. We have members from our advising team and our enrollment team on here to assist you. Although we do recommend trying to wait so you're listening to the presentation, as most of your questions may be answered as we go through it. So we do want to make sure we save plenty of time for those questions. So we'll go ahead and get started. First, for some introductions. My name is Christina Sebring. I'm the Academic Success Advising Coordinator Senior in the School of Computing and Augmented Intelligence, or SCI, which is the largest school within IROA Fulton Schools of Engineering. And I work in the advising office, so I work closely with advising the students currently in the program, prospective students, and I also work very closely with the admissions committees. Samira?
Hello, my name is Sammy, and I will be a lecturer in ASU. I joined to ASU in 2019 and taught different courses, graduate courses, machine learning, data processing, knowledge representation. And also before joining to ASU, I had 9-year experience teaching computer science courses and computer engineer courses in different universities. And I was assistant professor in my home country, Iran, and that's it.
Yes. And thank you so much. We know how busy you are, so thank you so much for joining us today. Also behind the scenes, we have members of our advising team as well as the enrollment team. So we have a lot of people on behind the scenes making sure all your questions get answered. So for today, we're going to give an overview of the program, discuss an overview of the curriculum and the degree requirements, go over the admissions requirements, including prerequisite courses, discuss some documents and requirements that are specific to students with international credentials, go over our non-degree options, as well as the application process and the deadlines, and then save as much time as possible at the end to answer your questions. So hopefully you're all here for the Master Computer Science program at ASU. So our program is offered as a rigorous computing degree covering advanced topics such as artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, blockchain, and big data, and helps students develop a modern computing skill set through practical projects. We offer our courses on Coursera's platform, which allows us the ability to offer an innovative learning experience at scale without sacrificing the quality and rigor of an ASU graduate degree program. We see graduates of our program employed at companies like Amazon, American Express, Apple, Cisco, Facebook, General Motors, Google, Intel, Microsoft, PayPal, Samsung, Starbucks, Verizon, and Walmart. And that's not even an all-inclusive list. That's just some of the big names. Our courses are offered in an accelerated 7.5-week session, which that allows us to have 5 starts each year. So we have a start in August and October, which is part of our fall semester, January and March, which is part of our spring semester, and then one start in summer, which begins in May. The program requires 10 courses, so it's equivalent to 30 credit hours. as well as a culminating experience, which is a project portfolio. So what this is as you move through the classes, you'll complete project work as you go. And then you write a brief summary about the project work that you did, and you submit that at the end of your program, just to kind of highlight a couple of the projects you did in a couple of your classes. So it's a lot of master's programs have a thesis or something like that. Ours is very project-based. So we have a project portfolio as the culminating experience. As for cost, our program is affordable. It's actually has a lower tuition rate than a lot of the other graduate programs. So the whole program costs $15,000, which breaks down to $1,500 per course. So tuition is charged as you take the courses, and it's $500 per credit hour is what it defaults to, but there's no additional fees. So it is what you would say a flat rate for tuition. And ASU does have financial aid options available in the form of scholarships, grants, loans, and other resources. But that, of course, is subject to availability and determined on an individual basis. Discussing a little bit about the curriculum. This is all of the courses that we've launched to date and have available. So we offer courses in 3 main categories, some special topic elective courses. If you're in our general Master of Computer Science degree program, you take 1 class from each of these main areas. So 1 foundations, 1 systems, 1 applications, and then the other 7 classes can come from any of the buckets. So you can take all of the special electives, special topic electives if you want, or you can choose additional courses from any of the categories. So it's really customizable based on your interest. I know, Samira, you teach some of these classes that you mentioned during your introduction. I don't know if there's anything you want to add about maybe some of the project work they could expect in some of these classes.
So I just want to say that for some of the classes, for example, CSC 511 and application part, CSC 575, statistical machine learning. So all the classes, and also data mining, data visualization, and also I teach knowledge representation and reasoning, CSC 579. For all of those classes, you have a main project, and also beside the main project, you have also some assignment, each week you have a graded quiz. And so all of those stuff will help you to understand the concept of the course better, and also beside the TAs also will help you, and instructor will help you to understand better about this concept. And I think that later we can talk about the language that they need to use for the main courses, right?
Yes, yeah, we can talk about that a bit in prerequisites.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yes, thank you so much for that insight. So in addition to our general program, we also have 2 concentrations available. So the first is a concentration in cybersecurity, which is designed to provide students the knowledge, skills, and advanced development capability in science and engineering for cybersecurity, which includes computer and network security, software security, data and information security, and applied cryptography and computer forensics. So again, if you're in any of our programs, you have to complete what's called the core requirement, which is 1 course from each of those areas on the previous screen. So 1 foundations, 1 systems, 1 applications. And then if you're in the cybersecurity concentration, you also have to take 3 cybersecurity courses. So information assurance and security is required for all students in the concentration. And then you can choose 2 more from the other cybersecurity courses we offer, such as cryptography, software security, or advanced computer network security. And then you also have a room for 4 electives that again can come from any of those categories. And then our other concentration is in big data. So this prepares students to architect, implement, and deploy systems to turn data into meaningful insights and make accurate predictions based on the data. So again, the core requirements there, it's there in all 3 programs. If you're doing the big data concentration, we do require 5 courses in the big data area. And many of these are courses that Samira teaches. So if you're pursuing the big data, you will probably have quite a bit.
I will read most of them. Yeah. If you will be my student, any of you, you will see me in the class. CSC 511, 575, 578. Yeah.
Yes, and they're some of our most popular classes. So data processing at scale, data mining, machine learning, data visualization, and then blockchain. And then
we usually have more than 300 students.
Yes, they can be very large.
Classes, yeah, so large.
And most of these we actually try to run twice a year as a result. Blockchain is the exception, that one only runs once, but the other classes run twice because they're so popular. And then, of course, you do have some elective room as well if you're pursuing the big data concentration. Okay, so moving into our admissions requirements, I know that is probably a question that a lot of our attendees may have today. So we do have a minimum GPA requirement of 3.0, which is equivalent to a B average or like an 8 out of 10 or an 80%, depending on the scale, is usually where it's equivalent. But we are looking at the last 60 credit hours of the undergrad degree, or what's commonly referred to as the junior senior GPA. So it's the last 2 years of the undergraduate program. Now, if you completed your undergrad degree outside of the US, please enter your marks as listed. There's no need to translate your GPA to the 4.0 scale that's used by ASU. Your GPA will be evaluated based on the scale used in the country where your education took place. So we have students apply from around the world, and ASU has a lot of international students. So there's a huge database of information that we can reference, as well as information provided with the transcript itself. To assist the committee in evaluating this GPA. So just don't feel like you have to translate that. One other note, if you do have any post-baccalaureate work, so anything you did after your undergrad, including graduate degrees, those GPAs also need to have a 3.0 GPA. We also require 2 semesters of advanced math in Calculus 1 and 2, as well as a background in discrete math. This course title can vary based on country and school as well, but know that students with an undergrad degree in a STEM field, so science, technology, engineering, or math, have likely completed this requirement. So that's something that's taken into consideration as well. Now, ASU does require you to submit official transcripts from all post-secondary institutions you've attended. When you're doing your application, you can apply with your unofficials. It is fine for the initial application, but they do need to be legible. So we have to be able to read them, so they can't be blurry or too small. They also have to be in one document. So if you've attended from multiple schools, you do need to combine those and upload them through the one upload link for unofficial transcripts. You can also just have your official sent directly. It's recommended to start that process when you're applying, just because sometimes it takes longer, especially if they're coming internationally. But there is a lot of information about how to submit your transcripts on the admissions website. So we do have that displaying on the screen right now. When you're doing the application, you will be prompted to submit a personal statement or a resume. And a personal statement is just, your goals, what you're hoping to get out of the program, why you're applying for it. We do accept either or, but there is a space for both. So you're welcome to submit both a personal statement and a resume if you want, but we only require one or the other. And CVs, of course, resume or CV, either one is fine. The university does charge an application fee. It varies a bit based on your status. And then know that we do not require the GRE, the GMAT, or letters of recommendation. So we don't require any of those 3 things. So talking a little bit, another thing that the committee is going to look at when they're reviewing your application is prerequisite knowledge. So they are looking at the transcripts for demonstrated knowledge of these topics. So we're looking for computer organization and assembly language programming, data structures and algorithms, operating systems, and then principles of programming languages or introduction to theoretical computer science. I do want to clarify here that principles of programming languages title is not always clear to an applicant. It is a 3rd year, so an upper division programming course. It's pretty far in our programming stream. So it is advanced and it is theoretical. So although the title isn't completely clear, it's not usually equivalent to a 1st or 2nd year programming course. It's more advanced than that. Usually it has to do with compilation or programming paradigms. So it is a more advanced programming class. So just to be very clear on that requirement. And in order to be eligible for admission, you do need to have at least 2 of these courses complete before applying. It does not matter which 2, although if you only have 2, hopefully it's the data structures and algorithms is one of them, because that's a pretty critical course and topic for computer science. And then additionally, students joining the program are expected to have programming knowledge in a variety of languages, including but not limited to C, C++, Java, Python, HTML. And Samira, you can probably speak to this a little bit more as an instructor.
Yeah, actually for all of the courses that I teach for graduate students, so Python is necessary language for all of those. You can use MATLAB, for example, for machine learning and data visualization, and even for the data processing as a scale. They can use MATLAB, but the base of anything that we will teach in the class will be based on the Python, and the explanation about the assignment, about the project, and the template that will be provided for the student are based on the Python. So for example, in data visualization, they can use Python or MATLAB or Tableau even, because they need to use a different kind of visualization. But the main language is necessary for the student is knowing about the Python. And here, most common question that came from a student is that what level of the Python they need to know. Most probably they will ask later. So it depends, actually, students will ask in the class as well. So it depends, you should know the basic, but I will recommend that intermediate level is good. Not the high level of Python, but basic and medium will be great to doing the project, especially for the courses in the big data concentration.
Thank you so much. And I know you don't teach the cybersecurity courses, but I know I've been told that the C languages are used pretty heavily in those. Yes. So the students interested in cybersecurity, I know that is an area probably to brush up on.
Yeah, Java and C.
Now, if you don't have these topics on your transcript, but have a strong understanding of them, so maybe you've worked in the industry for many years, so you've learned this through practice, or maybe you've done a lot of self-study. We do have prerequisite knowledge test out exams that we offer through ASU's continuing and professional education, which allows you the ability to demonstrate that knowledge to satisfy the admission requirement. So they do come with some refresher material, but it's really meant to just kind of help with the theoretical gaps that you might not get from learning the practical components of it in the industry. But it is truly a test out exam that gives you the ability to demonstrate that knowledge that you may have learned outside of formal coursework. Now, they're self-paced. You can start anytime. They are $59 per attempt. So we allow 2 attempts per exam, and then the $59 for each attempt. And that fee is largely covering the proctoring costs. They're proctored recording remotely. Each course has a required grade that you need to earn in order to demonstrate your knowledge and pass the exam. And then once you do that, you do receive a completion certificate, then you can upload with your application. And then, the committee will review that and confirm your score, and then that would be accepted in lieu of that official credit on your transcript. And again, we do have exams available in all 4 of our prerequisites. So computer organization, operating systems, data structures and algorithms, and principles of programming languages. So you can test out of all 4 classes. They're all available. We receive, as I mentioned a little bit ago, we receive applications from students who've attended schools from all over the world. So we have a lot of students with an international background. ASU does have what's called proof of English proficiency. It's not needed if you're a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. So that's one thing. If that's your status, you don't need this, even if your credentials are international. ASU accepts the TOEFL, the academic version of IELTS, the Pearson test of English, as well as Duolingo. I know a lot of our students find Duolingo to be the easier of the options. And we do have minimum scores that we require that are a little bit higher than ASU's minimum. So we do require a 90 for TOEFL, a 7 for IELTS, a 65 for Pearson, and then 115 for Duolingo. So our department does have slightly higher requirements, and those are all listed on our website as well. And if you are proving English proficiency via exam, that does need to be taken within 2 years of your start date. So it does need to be fairly recent. Now, ASU does offer possible exemptions if you've earned the equivalent of a US degree and the medium of instruction was in English. And there's more information on that and out on ASU's website as well. And this website is linked on ours too, so you can get to it from our main ASU website. Now, if you are not a US citizen but living in the US, you do need to send a copy of your visa to grad admissions, which is gograd@asu.edu. ASU is legally obligated to require, or like they have to validate that you are legally allowed to take an online courses. So that's why that's required. So they do need that proof. But if you're living outside the US, you can just select a JN when doing your application, which means international not coming to the US, and you don't have to send any documentation. Now, we also acknowledge that it can be difficult as an international student to retrieve your transcripts. So please work with our enrollment team if you're having trouble with this. ASU has a lot of options that they might be able to walk you through to try to assist with this. So we do have a couple non-degree options available. And you might be interested in doing this if maybe you're listening and you have a GPA that maybe doesn't meet that minimum requirement. This is also an option if you would to demonstrate English proficiency, because if you complete 9 credits from a US institution with a B or better, the graduate level, that will also satisfy the English proficiency requirement. Or maybe you're just not sure and you want to sample the classes before starting the full program. So those are all options or reasons students might do a non-degree. Course, we also offer what's called a master track. You may have heard, Coursera offers master track certificates. Often, students maybe who aren't sure if they want to pursue a full degree, but they do want to specialize in a specific area. You can complete 3 classes and get a professional certification as a non-degree student. And we do have these certifications available in AI and machine learning, big data, cybersecurity, and software engineering. So in a variety of areas.
Can I ask something here?
Yes, of course.
So for the student who joined from master track, all the materials are exactly the same as the student who are applied for the degree. Everything is similar, but they will just select specific courses. But for those, we are going to, instead of to take the degree, so they need to pass a group of the courses, but the materials, the project, assignments, everything are similar.
Thank you for mentioning that, because it's really important, because even if you're a non-degree student, you're in the same classes with our degree students. So you're, in teams and groups with degree students. So you're getting the same experience. So I know sometimes it's not completely clear why there's 2 options and how they're different. What we refer to as our general pathway, you can choose any 3 500 level courses that we offer. So it doesn't matter. You can choose whichever 3 you're interested in. And then what we're looking for here is a 3.0 GPA on the first attempt. So a B average. And that would be considered like a new graduate GPA, which can help when you're applying and maybe you had that low undergrad GPA. So you're establishing a high GPA at ASU. So it's a way to overcome potentially low GPA. If you're doing the master track, you do have to take 3 courses from the topic area. So you would have to take, for example, 3 of the big data courses to earn the master track certification in big data. And the individual courses have to be completed with a B or better. So they're looking at the course level to make sure that you're eligible for the certificate. Now, the great news is under both options, any of the courses you complete as a non-degree with a B or better can transfer into the MCS degree program. We can accept a maximum of 12 credits as long as those credits were taken at ASU. So that's the great news. So you don't lose time, you get the same experience, and those can transfer in if you do decide to continue on to the degree program. And then again, either option works if you're trying to meet that English proficiency requirement, because as long that requirement's 9 credits with a B or better. So if that's one of your goals, that can help you accomplish that as well. One important note is doing a non-degree does not guarantee admissions because the committee still goes through and checks for prerequisites, for example, and the computer science courses as well as the math courses. So that's one thing, you know, if you're missing multiple things, you might have to be doing a couple things concurrently. So that is one important note. So moving a bit onto the application process. So we have a quick link to be able to get right to our application, and that's up on the screen. Just links.asu.edu/MCS-application. So you can get right to the application if you're ready to get that in. Go through and you submit the application, upload your documents, and pay the fee. And that's basically it to apply to the program, and then it goes into review. Now, our deadlines are 4 weeks prior to the session start date. So we do recommend that you check the academic calendar. We do have those 5 starts a year. So we have 2 sessions in fall and spring. They're called A and B. And then we have C session in summer. So you can glance at ASU's academic calendar and then count 4 weeks backwards to know what the deadline is for that specific session. Now, if you have international credentials, you do need to apply a little earlier because there's additional verification that takes place. So there is more time needed to review your application. So you should be applying 6 weeks prior to the session start date. Okay, so before we move to the question and answer session, I did want to read a student testimonial. This was given by one of our current students who is actually graduating this semester. So he's been in the program for a while. He says, and these are his direct words, it's a direct quote. While I had always been interested in computers growing up, I got my undergraduate degree in a liberal arts field. After college, I got into the technology industry as a product manager. I wanted to start learning more about computer science and how computers worked. I took some classes online, but felt that a degree would have the rigor and diversity of topics to really help push my knowledge. After looking at multiple programs, I believe that the ASU MCS degree is one of the most competitive on the market for a few reasons. First, MCS allows non-technical undergraduates to pass a variety of proficiency classes and exams to prove the necessary technical background. I haven't seen another program that understands that self-taught or professional knowledge can be valuable. As a bonus, the classes were interesting and self-paced. Second, MCS was designed to be online since its inception. All course material, quizzes, and even exams can be taken online from anywhere. All live events, even office hours, are recorded and posted. If you're working full-time like I am, this is a crucial differentiator. Many programs claim to be online, but require mandatory Zoom lectures or in-person exams. Finally, I was able to pay for this program while working. While this may not be the case for everyone, I was able to support myself without taking on huge loads of debt, which was important to me. Some advice for potential early students: take the challenging classes. While every program may have easier or harder classes, I found that the most rewarding classes I took were often the most challenging. Second, take advantage of the discounts you get by being an engineering student. Licenses to JetBrains, Microsoft, VMware, New York Times, etc. are all great resources to have when learning and creating. I wish I signed up for them sooner. Finally, try to make friends in the program. It's incredibly helpful to have someone to discuss concepts with and bounce ideas off of. Good luck. And this testimonial was, again, from one of our graduates, Clinton Masterson, who's been in the program for a while.
Can I add something to
of course, yeah.
I just wrote it based on the note that the student wrote it. That's, yeah, I agree that when you're working, that these online courses will be so helpful for you, because we have the live event instructor will of the live event per week for each week's content. And also based on the number of students, we have some assistant will help me. So for all of those assistants also during a week, for example, for this course that currently I have, CSC 578, we have 4 live events that will be held through the Zoom, and the attendance is not mandatory, of course. And we will also record those sessions, and all sessions will be uploaded at the end of that week that we open. So it will be very helpful for you, because I wrote it here. He also mentioned in a note that we have a different office hour, live event, we will record them and you can watch them later if you are at work or if you are in a different time zone, you are not able to attend the live events. So I just want to add that one.
Thank you.
Helpful.
Yes, I know our students, we hear feedback all the time that the live events are helpful, even though like they're not mandatory, but super helpful. So we do, before we transfer to the questions, we did want to make sure you had contact information. So we know that there will probably be follow-up questions later. So you can reach our enrollment team at mcsenrollment@asu.edu. They're here to help you and help you navigate the application and the process. And they do have a toll-free phone number as well. So if you're calling internationally, make sure you use our country code of 1. Then it's 844-353-7953. We also have a website and we try to put a lot of information out there and be very transparent. So you can access that at links.asu.edu/MCS. And of course, if you're ready to apply, you can get to it through that website, but we also have a direct link for that as well. So that's the links.asu.edu/MCS-application. So those are all tools to help you get started. So I guess I know questions have been coming in throughout the presentation, so we'll get to those while you're entering some questions that you want us to answer live. I did want to start with some of our frequently asked questions that we get all the time. And one is, what is the difference between the campus program and the online program? Because this computer science program is offered on our Tempe campus and then also online. And the short answer is that the curriculum and the coursework and the instructors, they're all the same. So they're all designed by the same faculty and instructors who teach on campus as well. The difference is our course length. So the online classes are in that accelerated 7.5-week format. And that's done so you can focus on one class at a time. A lot of students are working, so they take one course per session and can just focus on that one subject at a time, but still move through the program at a pretty good pace. And then, of course, the modality, our online courses are offered fully online. The in-person courses are, in a lecture hall for the most part and taught in person. So the modality is different. What is the length of the program? This one does truly depend on how many courses a student takes at a time. We have 5 sessions per year. So if you're if you're working full time and only want to take one course per session, you can finish the program in 2 years. We have some students who take 2 courses per session and finish in a year. Maybe if you want to skip summers, it's 2.5 years. So there's a lot of room and a lot of flexibility. The maximum it can take is 6 years, although I haven't seen a master's student take that long. So you are given a good maximum amount of time from the university if you need it. But I have seen it done in as short as 1 year. So we have seen that. So kind of whatever fits your needs and your goals, you have the flexibility to do that. And then I guess our last frequently asked question before we get to the submitted ones is it possible to attend part-time while working? And that answer is absolutely. The courses are accelerated, so you should plan to spend 15 to 20 hours per week per course, and that can vary by week depending on if it's an exam or a project week, but that is the average. But we have the majority, I'd say, of our students in the program are working while they're doing this. Many have families, so they're juggling work, families, and school. So it is possible. A lot of time it's about time management and pacing. But let's see, I know we have had questions coming in. So the first one I see is for admissions. It says, do you need a bachelor's in CS to apply for the Master of Computer Science? That of course is helpful if you've had a computer science undergraduate background as far as background knowledge, but it's not a requirement. We have students applying from a variety of disciplines, not just within engineering. We see complete discipline changes. What you have to do, though, if you're coming from a non-computer science background, is it's those prerequisite courses. You have to take the time to really build up that prerequisite knowledge to make sure that you'll be successful in the courses, because it is a graduate level degree, and some of the courses are pretty rigorous. So you just have to make sure you have the right foundation to be successful in the computer science courses. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that one or not.
I just want to say something here. Before applying for any courses, if you came from a different major, please check them in the syllabus, in the course syllabus. There is some part, a prerequisite knowledge. So in that part, you should check that which courses you need to pass before accepting this new course, this graduate course. For example, this is the common question that we have for a student who apply for a statistical machine learning, CST 575. So because in the first few weeks, we are talking about the mathematical foundation of machine learning. So they need to know about the linear algebra, probability, about the calculus, a basic, not advanced, but they need to know the basic of these linear algebra, calculus, probability, and it will help them to understand the concept better. Yeah, these three courses usually are the basic courses that they need to know. They need to have a basic knowledge about those. But
Yes.
for example, for data visualization, just if they know about a different kind of Python package, NumPy package, how to draw a plot, or those stuff, that will be, not any specific knowledge about the calculus or something like this. That's a basic.
That is an important thing you mentioned, because we have that, all of our courses have like a prior knowledge and skills section on the course briefs that we call them, which is like a syllabus preview, basically, as well as on the syllabus itself, that all students should check just to make sure they're ready going in, because that's what you're expected to know going in, not that you have to know to be successful in the course. So I know we tell them that as well, but
yeah, especially in the syllabus, we will specify for them everything before they start. We will say them that, for example, week 1, they need to do this task, and due date is this one. Everything is maybe provided for them in the syllabus, so they know if they want to apply for that specific course, what they have a plan for the future weeks. If they want to apply for that specific course, everything will be ready for them before starting the course.
Which is good, so they can know up in front and plan.
Yeah.
Let's see. Before I go to the next question, I was asked to remind everybody that the recording of this presentation will be emailed to all the attendees. So, and just so you know, this will be saved and sent, and it's usually posted publicly as well. Another application question. It says, to submit the application, do I need to finish all 4 prerequisites or just 2? So the minimum that is required for admission is completion of at least 2 of those prerequisite courses. The other 2 you can do concurrently while you start your grad program. But I mean, ideally, as much prerequisite knowledge as you have starting is preferred and better, just to make sure you have all the knowledge you need as you're starting the courses. But the requirement for admissions is 2. So at least 2 have to be complete for admission. So if you're missing 3 or 4, that probably would not be an admissible decision. So you do have to have at least 2 of the 4 complete, including the math. The math must be complete. That is always a hard must-have, a very firm must-have. Another admission question, which is common: what do I do if my undergraduate GPA is too low? For this situation, we would recommend our non-degree pathway. So that's exactly who this is designed for. So we know that your undergrad experience may be one thing, but now you're ready for a grad program. So you can for sure do our non-degree pathway, take 3 of our classes as a non-degree, and establish that higher graduate GPA, which will help then to have an eligible GPA for admission. So if you're in that case and you think your undergrad degree doesn't meet it, I would pursue that non-degree pathway. And we have a whole section of our website just for non-degree options too. We have our own, like a unique application that you do. Just make sure you can access the classes and everything. So that's a really good option to be able to take the grad classes. And you don't lose any time because they can transfer into the program as long as you get that B or better and you get the same experience. So this is a good one. Can I take this program from another country? Is it asynchronous? So we have students attending from all over the world. I know we have a lot in Egypt, for example. I have at least one in Japan, lots in China, like all over the world, Africa, Europe, everywhere. So we have students attending from everywhere. So the lectures, like the formal lectures, are all pre-recorded, and there are dates and deadlines, but you can watch those lectures at your convenience. I know that the live events, they do happen live, but those are also recorded. I know you mentioned that earlier, Samira.
Yeah, I want to add something here.
Yep.
So for student convenience, we usually because the students came from different time zone, we usually will hold the office hour and the live event in a different time zone. In the start of the week, last of the week, morning, evening, in a different time. So you're free to join any of the live events if you like. And also we will record them. But one other question that usually will came from the student is that some of the courses have a group project. So a student need to be at a group, 5 or 6 students in a group and do the project. And these are the team project. And for that cases, for any courses, we have a team project. Before starting the course, the first week, usually, we will ask the student to fill a survey. And the survey, they need to write about the time zone, the city, the country. And then based on that, the course admin will divide them in a specific group. For example, the student who are for example, if they're in China or live in China, they have the same time zone, they work together. The students who are in the US, the same time zone in a different state, working together. And it will help the student a lot because they have the same time zone, it's not different. So they need to fill a survey. And after they fill a survey, they need, of course, admin will understand the students' time zone to divide them in a separate group.
Yes, but definitely good for them to know, I think. That's probably a question is, how does that work? Yes. And then another question, do I need to finish the program in 2 years? Can I attend part-time? So that's out. You do not need to finish the program in 2 years. That's probably an average completion window, but you have up to 6 years if you need it. So 6 years is a long time for a master's program, but you do have that amount of time if you need it. But a lot of students attend part-time, which means 1 course per session. So the minimum that you need to take is just 1 per fall and spring semester. So, if you're doing that, it could, I guess, take up to 5 years, depending on it, but there is a lot of flexibility to take courses as you need to based on your own schedule. Hopefully that helps, because we know, especially when you're working, sometimes you might need to skip a session, or maybe you have a big trip plan, so that it's okay to skip the session. You do have the flexibility to do that. Another question about prerequisite classes. So is it possible to complete the prerequisite classes after getting admission? So you do have to have at least 2 of the 4 that are listed complete prior to applying. So they have to be complete before you apply for the program. So when we have 4 required courses listed, at least 2 have to be complete at the time you submit that application. And it includes the math. If you have 2 incomplete, we assign them as what's called deficiencies at ASU. And then you have a specific amount of time that you have to complete those. So you can do it concurrently with your graduate courses. So for example, our 340 Principles of Programming Languages. It's, as I mentioned, it's a theoretical course. So even students with a computer science degree don't always take it. And a lot of programs, it's an elective and it's a requirement at ASU. So that's a very common deficiency that maybe a student is admitted with that deficiency, and they take maybe 340, they take a grad class in one session and 340 in the other session to complete it. So that's just one example. So it is possible to be admitted with 2 incomplete, but again, 2 have to be complete, 2 can be incomplete. So at least 50% of them. So a lot of admission questions. Common one that is being submitted is there financial aid for the program? So ASU does have financial aid available. So I would visit ASU's financial aid website because that's a very individual eligibility arrangement. So you want to double check with the financial aid office to see what you might be eligible for personally. But I do want to point out that our program does have a lower tuition rate than a lot of other graduate programs at ASU even. It's $500 per credit hour. That is a bit lower with no additional fees. So that is what you pay if you register for one class. You'll be charged $1,500. The only exception is if you have to take some of those prerequisites. They're undergrad, so there are some course fees there, but that's the only exception. So that's really good. So it does make it affordable, budget friendly. If you're eligible for any kind of reimbursement through your company, you should be able to kind of keep that under maybe the maximum allowed per year. So hopefully the lower rate will help the program be accessible. Another question about the length of the program. It says, do all the programs have the same length? I'm guessing you mean between the three, because we have our general computer science and our two concentrations. All three options have 10 classes or 30 credit hours. So it's the same amount of courses that are required. The difference is what classes you are required to take. So if you're in one of the concentrations, there's certain courses you're required to take to fulfill those requirements, but all three have their 30 credit hours or 10 classes. So as far as length, again, that depends on how many courses you take at a time. So there's a question about program change. So can you change once you're admitted? And we see this all the time because maybe you apply for the general computer science, but then you realize that you really enjoy the big data courses. So you want to do the big data specialization, just as an example. You can request to change your program. In general, we recommend you make that decision early just because your degree requirements are determined by which program you're in. So in general, it's better to know earlier in the program to make sure you're taking the right courses, but you can change it later. Or maybe we also see the reverse where maybe a student applies for a concentration and decides maybe they want to take a wider variety of classes. So it works both ways, but it is possible to change. And I know questions are still coming in. I think we answered all the submitted ones so far. I'll wait to see what else is coming in from our group behind the scenes answering questions. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add in general. Just saw one more. This is also a pretty frequent question is it possible to change my online program to an in-person program? So yes, but it requires a new application. So an online student cannot just request to move to an in-person program. They do need to submit another application. There's a lot of reasons for that, all the way down to the university levels based on certain requirements for in-person students. Also, the in-person program does require the GRE. There's the option to do a thesis in person, which is one of the reasons. So that is one reason they require a new application. So it is possible, but just be prepared. You would have to submit a new application and should be prepared to take the GRE if you're interested in attending the in-person program. Another question I get that's related to that a little bit is, what if I'm interested in a PhD later? You will have an earned master's degree. So the Master of Computer Science degree is an earned master's degree. So for example, our computer science PhD program is only offered on the Tempe campus, but those classes would be able to apply toward the PhD program. Where you might have the learning curve is the research experience, because PhDs it's a very large research component. So that would be where the learning curve is from. This is a project-based program to then going to a research-based program. You'd have to learn how to do the academic research and all that comes with it.
There's one question here about what requirement is for the project computer requirement. So you can use Mac, Linux, and Windows, anything that you want. And usually we will provide the a document, how you can install that specific software in Mac, in Linux, or in Windows. Or if a student need any specific things, we can also provide for them later. But till now, for different courses that we have, for example, for CSE 511, data processing at scale, a student need at the final project, a student need to work with Hadoop, Spark. So I provide that document. I provide that document for students step by step what they need to do to install Spark and the other stuff that needed for the final project. And also for, as I know, for the courses that I will teach, I think for other courses are similar. We provided all things that you need, the document, and project instruction, and usually for all assignments, for most of them. For most of the assignment, for the project, GSA provide a video, and that video students can see that how they can start the project, how they can download the data set, how they can run the project, and how they can verify the output with the test cases. So everything is provided for them. So don't need to be worried. I just saw the question. Okay.
Well, that's important too. And related to that, I don't know if it's been asked, but there's our courses, everything's provided. So you don't have to, there's no required textbooks that you have to worry about getting.
Exactly.
So that's a common question, especially for international students. You don't have to worry about getting all that because it's all within the course.
Exactly. And also for some courses like the data visualization, for example, if you have any assignment, although we will explain them in the live event about how you can do work with the assignment, and we give them a hint for doing the assignment and the project. But for example, for some courses like CSE 578, they have a video demonstration video before starting the assignment. So everything that they need to do before that, GSA work in a different data set, and everything will be clear for them. It will be help the student.
Yes, that's all important to know for a student who's joining.
Yeah.
I know I've seen some questions about the math requirement. I know that can be confusing. So the math is listed. I've seen a lot of international transcripts. Sometimes, it's math 1 and 2. Sometimes it's advanced math. Like it's not always listed as calculus 1 and 2. And that's kind of where our statement about students with those STEM degrees, so science, technology, engineering, and math, likely have it. And we also know education structure different in different countries. So that's all kind of taken into consideration. So it's not always explicitly Calc 1 and 2. I'd say if you're not sure, you can access the course descriptions for Calculus 1 and 2 at ASU and read what's being taught. And then, if you've had those topics, it's the best way. Instead of looking at the specific title of the class would be my recommendation. I know discrete math was a specific question. I will say if you've done algorithms, you have likely learned discrete math because discrete math is necessary for the algorithms component. So that's another thing that's taken into consideration by the committee. If algorithms is done, the discrete math should be there. Let's see. I know there was a question about tuition, how it's charged. It's charged as you register. So you do not have to pay the $15,000 up front. If let's say, for example, you enroll for one course, your tuition will be $1,500 for that one course. So that can be an important distinction when you're trying to budget for doing a graduate program. And then another question, do I need to choose all courses I want to take from the beginning? And how feasible is it to change any courses later? So it isn't, we will ask that you create a plan at the beginning. So by the end of your first semester, we're going to ask you to create a plan of study so that you have a plan of what you think you want to take. This is important because you need to make sure that you know what your degree requirements are, and we need to make sure that you're on track and making progress toward meeting those. But you can change it. So maybe, you plan to take 2 courses in a fall semester. Now you can only do 1, or, maybe the course offering shifted a little bit. So you need to adjust it. You can definitely change it because it's a plan. But we will ask you to at least look at all the courses we offered and pick out which 10 you think you're going to take to plan that out. Just it's always good to have a plan so you know what requirements you're working toward. But we did, one question we asked about getting started is where do I start? Advising recommendations is we have such a variety of classes. I mean, we have big data, we have cybersecurity, we have AI, we have software engineering. So start where your interest is. Usually students do better in the classes that they're interested in. The questions are still rolling in here, and we have about 5 minutes left. I did want to, we do have 5 minutes left, so we're still answering questions, but I did want to move back to, I'm just going to put the contact page back up for everybody. So just in case we're not able to get to your question, please reach out to our enrollment team. They're there to assist you. I know they're on answering your questions right now. So they are here, so feel free to reach out. We definitely want to help as much as possible. I know there's a question about the master track certificates. Just to clarify, you do have to complete 3 of the courses that's within like a certificate group in order to be eligible for the certificate. So it is at least 3 or 9 credits. Our courses are, ASU uses the term credit, so all of our courses are 3 credit hours. So 1 course is 3 credits. So you might see both terminologies on ASU's website if that helps. And I did want to remind everyone again that this presentation is being recorded. It will be sent out so you can go back and watch it, or some of you may be watching the recording now, so hopefully, or guess later once it's posted. It might not be in real time. But again, this webinar was for the specifically for the Master Computer Science program offered through ASU. We do partner with Coursera and offer on their platform, but we are specifically able to answer questions about our program at ASU. We just got one question: is a 3 years of bachelor's eligible for the master's program? So ASU requires the equivalent of a US bachelor's degree, which is a 4-year degree. So that is the minimum requirement. You do have to have the equivalent of a 4-year degree in order to be eligible for any of the graduate programs at ASU. So that's not specific to this one. That's actually a minimum ASU requirement. But again, as we're wrapping up here, I do want to point out our enrollment team's contact information. We do have it up on the screen right now. And you can reach them via email at mcsenrollment@asu.edu, or you can call them and speak to someone and get all your questions answered. They do have the toll-free number, 1-844-353-7953. Let's see. I see one question about, can you move from the master track to the degree or from the pathway to degree? And that's absolutely, we encourage that. So if you start the pathway, you can then apply for the degree program and transfer in those 9 credits. As long as you earn to be or better in the courses, you can transfer that into the degree program. So that is absolutely a hopeful path that many students will take if they start as non-degree, that they'll continue into the degree program. That is absolutely an option. The key though is that B or better grade. So for those courses to be eligible to move, you need the B or better. And then again, admissions requirements still apply. So although your non-degree GPA at ASU will be used, you still need that prerequisite knowledge. So that's really important distinction, is that you still need the prerequisite knowledge. I know we're almost out of time. I know we still have questions coming in. So some of you may need a follow-up from the enrollment team. I don't know, Samira, if there's anything you want to add in closing.
Just thank you so much for participating in the webinar, and also I'm really happy to see you in my classes.
Yes.
If you like to be as a part of big data concentration part.
Yes, and I know you teach, gosh, it feels like every semester almost. So yeah, so I mean, I guess the hope today was that we were able to answer your questions and provide you with some resources so you can hopefully apply and join us. And then in a couple years, we will meet you in person at graduation, which that I didn't see that question. That one actually usually comes up is you can come to Tempe for graduation if you want to. So that's always a fun thing too for online students. If it's something that you can do, that's always a nice something else that you can do. But yeah, I guess we've used up our whole hour. So I guess just in closing, thank you so much for spending your hour with us. And I know we probably have them listening from all over. So hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day. And again, please contact our enrollment team if you have questions so they can assist you. But yeah, we hope everyone has a good day and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.